Morning all. All right, so in my continuing look at the seasons of the National Hockey League's history, we're up to the 1998-1999 season. Yeah, things get interesting. The Nashville Predators join the NHL, Toronto's in the East, and things are a little bit different. We have 6 divisions now instead of 4, so it means that the 3 division winners in each conference get the top 3 seeds, which leads to some controversy, because of course it does. The New Jersey Devils end up finishing first in the East. 105 points, record of 47, 24, and 11. 248 goals scored, 196 goals against. They're coached by Robbie Ftorek. The Ottawa Senators, coached by Jacques Martin, 44, 23, and 15 record, 103 points. Wow, 133. Trying to give them 30 extra points. 239 goals scored, 179 goals against. Carolina finishes third by virtue of winning their division, and they have a 3rd seed, even though they have less points than everybody else above the playoff line beneath them. 34, 30, and 18 record, 86 points, 210 goals scored, 202 goals against. They're coached by Paul Maurice. The Toronto Maple Leafs, 45, 30, and 7, 97 points, 268 goals scored, 231 goals against. Pat Quinn is the coach in Toronto at this point. The Philadelphia Flyers, 37, 26, and 19 record, so 93 points, 231 goals scored, 196 goals against. Roger Nielsen is now the captain of Philadelphia, so I guess that's his 7th team. He coached a lot of teams. The Boston Bruins, they enjoyed their record so much. I think it's the exact same record they had the year before. 39, 30, and 13, 91 points, 214 goals scored, 181 goals against. Still coached by Pat Burns. The Buffalo Sabres finished 37, 28, and 17. 91 points for them as well. 207 goals scored. 175 goals against. Lindy Ruff is the coach there. Hope I don't say captain for any of these. I'm just throwing out there. If I do, I apologize. The Pittsburgh Penguins, the last team to make the playoffs. 38, 30, and 14 record. 90 points. 242 goals scored. 225 goals against. They're coached by Kevin Constantine at this point. So below the playoff line, you have the Florida Panthers, the closest that just miss, which happens a few times in Florida's history. 30, 34, and 18 record, 78 points, 210 goals scored, 228 goals against. Terry Murray's the coach. So 12 points separating the playoff team from the first team that missed the playoffs. So not a lot of tension the final couple weeks of the season. The New York Rangers, 33, 38, and 11 record, 77 points, 217 goals scored, 227 goals against. They're coached by John Muckler, one of the many former Oilers who've come through the New York Rangers at this point, a team that's spending a lot of money on salary. They're not getting the return on that money that they're spending. The Montreal Canadiens, 32, 39, and 11 record, 75 points, 184 goals scored, 209 goals against. Alain Vigneault is the coach in Montreal at that point. The Washington Capitals finished 31, 45, and 6, 68 points, 200 goals scored, 218 goals against. Ron Wilson, the coach in Washington. The Islanders finished 24, 48, and 10. Yep, we're into a pretty miserable time for the Islanders. 58 points, 194 goals scored, 244 goals against. Mike Milbury behind the bench, 13, 29, and 3. And then Bill Stewart takes over, goes 11, 19, and 7. Of course, Mike Milbury, the general manager of the Islanders, it has results. Not necessarily great results, so I'll just leave it at the word results. Tampa Bay finishes last in the NHL that year, 47 points, 19, 54, and 9 record, 179 goals scored, 292 goals against. Then out west, the Dallas Stars finished first overall, 51, 19, and 12, and as you can see, it did not jinx them. 114 points, 236 goals scored, 168 goals against. Ken Hitchcock is the coach in Dallas. The Colorado Avalanche finished 44, 28, and 10, 98 points for them. 239 goals scored, 205 goals against. Bob Hartley is the coach there. The Detroit Red Wings, they win their division, 43, 32, and 7 record, 245 goals scored, 202 goals against, 93 points, and Scotty Bowman's still the coach. The Arizona Coyotes go 39, or Phoenix Coyotes at this point, apologies. Phoenix Coyotes go 39, 31, and 12, 90 points, 205 goals scored, 197 goals against. Jim Schoenfeld is the coach. It's interesting, too, because, of course, when Phoenix changed their name to Arizona, for a while there, I was still calling them Phoenix, and I got used to just Arizona all the time, and now Now I have to go back to calling them Phoenix during this series. The St. Louis Blues finished with a record of 37, 32, and 15, 87 points, 237 goals scored, 209 goals against. They're coached by Joel Quenneville, who, of course, had his best success behind the bench with Chicago. The Anaheim Ducks finished 35, 34, and 13, 83 points, 215 goals scored, 206 goals against. They're coached by Craig Hartsburg. And interestingly, too, if you look through this series, if you've been watching this series, first off, thank you. And secondly, note how many former players who were captains end up being coaches later on. Speaking of which, there's Daryl Sutter as the coach of the San Jose Sharks. They finished 31, 33, and 18, 80 points, 196 goals scored, 191 goals against. The Oilers, 33, 37, and 12, 78 points, so they do make the playoffs. 230 goals scored, 226 goals against. Ron Lowe is the coach in Edmonton. Just below the playoff line, the Calgary Flames, 30, 40, and 12. 211 goals scored, 234 goals allowed for the 72-point Flames. Brian Sutter being the coach in Calgary. And again, he was a captain in the National Hockey League. The Chicago Blackhawks, former Chicago captain Dirk Graham is now their coach. They finished 29, 41, and 12, 70 points, 202 goals scored, 248 goals against. The LA Kings finished 32, 45, and 5, 69 points, 189 goals scored, 222 goals against. Larry Robinson is the coach there. Nashville, in their first season, they don't finish last, which is, I mean, it's something at this point in time. Again, Vegas has changed everybody's perception of expansion teams, but Nashville was pretty good with what they had. 28, 47, and 7 record, 63 points, 190 goals scored, 261 goals against. Barry Trotz, of course, the coach there. Vancouver finishes last in the West, and what a disastrous season. 23, 47, and 12 record, 58 points, 192 goals scored, 258 goals against, and they're coached by Mike Keenan. I've done a video on that season for the Canucks. It's in the playlist for truly awful seasons, and it was a bad year for the Canucks that season. And looking back, Mike Keenan took a lot of heat for what was really just a team that needed a complete and total tear down and fix up, and he kind of became the scapegoat along with Mark Messier for that. April 16th of 1999, Wayne Gretzky, just before the last game played by the Rangers, he announces he's retiring. So Wayne Gretzky retires. Sadly, the Rangers don't end up making the playoffs that year, so it's kind of a quiet retirement for Wayne Gretzky. His number, of course, retired around the NHL, which is retired around the NHL because nobody else was ever going to wear 99 again. I always figured, nobody had really worn 99, and so, yeah, retiring that number league-wide, I mean, if he wore the number 9, I don't think it would have been retired league-wide. But that's just me. You guys can let me know your thoughts. The Rocket Richard Trophy is introduced. So, of course, that's to the NHL's leading goal scorer. Paul Kariya has a nice bounce back after missing much of the 97-98 season. It's been well documented that Paul Kariya went through a lot of injuries, concussions, things of that nature. So he has a nice bounce back in 98-99. July 3rd of 1998, the Dallas Stars signed Brett Hull. And what's interesting is that Brett Hull was known for having some struggles in the playoffs, and there were articles saying you can't win with Brett Hull in the playoffs. By about 10 years down the road from now, it'll be, hey, look, Brett Hull's got cup rings, and how do you win without Brett Hull became a question too. July 13th of 1998, Carolina signs Ron Francis. Well, that becomes a pretty strong union between the two. Of course, Francis goes on to eventually become the general manager of Carolina, and he's currently the general manager in Seattle. July 15th of 1998, the Toronto Maple Leafs signed Curtis Joseph. And, of course, Cujo goes on to have a very strong run with Toronto and is part of the reason why they're 4th in the East. Rightfully, probably should have been 3rd, but, again, division winners, right? January 17th of 1999, the Vancouver Canucks make a huge trade. They trade Pavel Bure, Brett Hedican, Brad Ferentz, and a 3rd-round pick for Dave Gagne, Ed Jovanovski, Kevin Weeks, and a 1st-round draft pick. Now, of course, the 1999 draft is huge for the Canucks, where they end up getting both of the Sedins at the draft table, and it really is kind of set up by this trade that they make, sending out Pavel Bure. So it's that huge teardown the team needed. And yeah, the Bure trade ends up working out pretty well for both teams, to be honest. Bure has a good run in Florida. And Jovanovski ends up being an excellent defenseman for the Canucks. Arguably, before Quinn Hughes arrives in Vancouver, might have been Vancouver's best defenseman in their history. October 10th of 1998, Scotty Bowman, in starting his 27th season behind an NHL bench. That is a record for head coaches. Ridiculous numbers for Scotty Bowman's career. April 17th of 1999, the Devils set a record with a 28th road victory that season. New Jersey very strong on the road during that time in their history. That dates back to the 1995 Stanley Cup run as well, where a lot of those wins they got in that playoff were on the road. The skate and crease rule is dominant that season, and we all knew that the skate and crease rule could end up having an impact in the Stanley Cup final, and obviously Brett Hull, game-winning goal, his skates in the crease. The NHL said they had modified the rule. The Dallas Stars, to this day, will tell you that rule was modified. There was a memo sent out that the goal that was allowed from Hull was going to be allowed. Those kinds of goals would be allowed. The Buffalo Sabres tell a different story, that they did not get a memo of that nature. And so, yeah, that debate's out there. But honestly, it's a goal that I never liked the skate and crease rule. I thought it was a terrible rule in the first place. And that goal really, that was it. The NHL took that rule out after the season, but the damage had already been done. So that's one of those times where the NHL kind of shot itself in the foot in trying to keep goaltenders safe and trying to make sure that they have a good chance to play the puck. So it really is, goalie interference now is the after effect of trying the skate and crease rule and realizing it doesn't work. So goalie interference would be the rule, the go-to now to take goals off the board, outside of course, offside challenges. But that's a debate that's definitely, it's gone on for a while. It's gone on for a while, and I don't know when that's going to stop. Award winners that year, the Art Ross goes to Jaromir Jagr of the Pittsburgh Penguins, so he continues to be a very strong scorer during an era where there's not a lot of scoring going on. The Masterton goes to John Cullen, who was playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning at that point. The Calder goes to Chris Drury of the Colorado Avalanche. The Conn Smythe goes to Joe Nieuwendyk of the Dallas Stars. The Selke goes to Jiri Lehtinen of the Dallas Stars. The Hart Trophy goes to Jaromir Jagr of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Jack Adams Award goes to Jacques Martin of the Ottawa Senators. The Norris goes to Al MacInnis of the St. Louis Blues. The King Clancy Trophy goes to Rob Ray of the Buffalo Sabres. The Lady Byng goes to Wayne Gretzky of the New York Rangers. So his final individual award. The Lester Pearson goes to Jaromir Jagr of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Rocket Richard Trophy, first time on the board, it goes to Teemu Selanne of the Anaheim Ducks. Oddly enough, they bring in the award, and it's the season where we don't have a 50-goal scorer. And so Rocket Richard, of course, first player ever to get a 50-goal season. The Vezina goes to Dominic Hasek of the Sabres. The Jennings goes to Belfour and Roman Turek of the Dallas Stars. Your All-Stars that season, down the middle, Peter Forsberg, first team from Colorado. Second team is Alexei Yashin of the Ottawa Senators. On the left side, Paul Kariya of Anaheim's first team. John LeClair of Philadelphia's second team. On the right side, Jaromir Jagr of Pittsburgh's first team. Teemu Selanne of Anaheim's second team. On the blue line, Al MacInnis of St. Louis and Nick Lidstrom of Detroit are your first team All-Stars. Ray Bourque of Boston and Eric Desjardins of Philadelphia are second team. And in net, Dominic Hasek of Buffalo's first team All-Star again. And Byron Dafoe in Boston is second team All-Star. So looking at the scoring that year, Jaromir Jagr leads the way. 81 games, 44 goals, 83 assists, 127 points. Teemu Selanne second, 75 games, 47 goals, 60 assists, 107 points. So 47 goals wins the first Rocket Richard Trophy. Paul Kariya, 82 games, 39 goals, I should say, 62 assists, 101 points for Anaheim. Peter Forsberg for Colorado, 78 games, 30 goals, 67 assists, 97 points. Joe Sakic, also of Colorado, 73 games, 41 goals, 55 assists for 96 points. So full 82-game schedule. I would think both Forsberg and Sakic would have reached 100 points. Alexei Yashin, 82 games, 44 goals, 50 assists, 94 points. Of course, playing for Ottawa. Eric Lindros in Philly, 71 games, 40 goals, 53 assists, 93 points. Theron Fleury split the season between Calgary and Colorado. Plays 75 games, 40 goals, 53 assists, 93 points. John LeClair in Philadelphia, 76 games, 43 goals, 47 assists for 90 points. And Pavel Dimitrov, St. Louis, he's in the top 10 that year. 82 games, 37 goals, 52 assists, 89 points. Your leader in wins that year, Marty Brodeur, record of 39, 21, and 10. He had a .906 save percentage. Ed Belfour, 35, 15, and 9 record, .915 save percentage. Curtis Joseph in Toronto, 35, 24, and 7 record, .910 save percentage. Chris Osgood in Detroit, 34, 25, and 4, .910 save percentage. Byron Defoe in Boston, 32, 23, and 11 record, .926 save percentage. Lord Byron was very good that year. Nikolai Habibulin for Phoenix, 32, 23, and 7 record, .923 save percentage. And Patrick Roy in Colorado, 32, 19, and 8 record, .917 save percentage. So you can see the save percentages have come up a lot from where they were in the 80s. We're definitely into what is known as the dead puck era. The conference finals that year, some upsets. Starting, though, with St. Louis knocking off Philadelphia 4-3. Detroit sweeps Anaheim 4 straight games. Colorado beats San Jose 4-2. Dallas sweeps Edmonton 4 straight. They do not allow Edmonton to get any idea that they're going to score an upset that year. Toronto beats Philadelphia 4-2. Mild upset in that Philadelphia, of course, with the Legion of Doom line. Boston beats Carolina 4-2. Technically an upset because Carolina's the number 3 seed, but Boston had more points than Carolina that season. Buffalo sweeps Ottawa 4 straight, so Ottawa, the number 2 seed, can't knock off Buffalo. Pittsburgh, I should say, beats New Jersey in 7 games. So New Jersey, the number 1 seed, they lose against the number 8 seeded Pittsburgh Penguins. Now in the second round, in the conference semifinals, Colorado beats Detroit in 6 games. So again, Colorado and Detroit, they're butting heads. Dallas beats St. Louis in 6 games. So again, Dallas and St. Louis meeting each other in the playoffs. Buffalo beats Boston in 6. So the Buffalo Sabres, the number 7 seed, they continue on. The Toronto Maple Leafs beat Pittsburgh 4-2. So Toronto in another conference final. In those conference finals, Colorado wins the first game in Dallas 2-1. Dallas answers with a 4-2 win. Dallas then goes to Colorado, wins 3-0, before Colorado wins in overtime 3-2 in Game 4 to again tie the series. Game 5, Colorado goes into Dallas and wins 7-5. I don't remember clearly, but I'm thinking I was probably pretty mad during that game. Game 6, Dallas wins 4-1 in Colorado, and then Dallas wins at home 4-1 to win the series in 7 games. It wasn't easy, but they got it done. The other series, Buffalo and Toronto, teams that are geographically close to one another. Buffalo beats Toronto 5-4 in the first game. Toronto evens the series with a 6-3 win in Game 2. Buffalo then wins both games at home by scores of 4-2 and 5-2, and then they go to Toronto and win the 5th game 4-2 to win the series 4-1. In the Stanley Cup final, it is Buffalo, it is Dallas. Buffalo wins the first game in overtime 3-2. Dallas wins 4-2 to tie the series, and then they go into Buffalo, they win 2-1. Buffalo wins Game 4 2-1. Dallas wins at home 2-0, and then in the infamous or famous 6th game, Dallas beats Buffalo in triple overtime 2-1 to win the series in 6 games. There are some who remember this as a 7-game series. That was a 6-game series. And what happened in this one was both teams playing really good defense and both teams having excellent goaltenders. Belfour at one end, Hasek at the other, just great goaltending. And the Stars end up holding up and winning the series in 6. Again, that game-winning goal, should it have counted? Depends on which team you ask, and it depends on which fans you ask. In that final, Stu Barnes had 3 goals for Buffalo. Zhitnik had a goal and 2 assists. Schmelik had 3 assists. One issue that they did have in Buffalo, they didn't really have a major superstar forward. Miroslav Shaitan was their best goal scorer. He did not show up on the score sheet in that final. Hasek, .939 save percentage in that final. On the other side, Modano had 7 assists. Lettinen had 3 goals, 2 assists. Brett Hull had 3 goals. Neuendijk had 2 goals and an assist. Jamie Langenbrunner, a goal and 2 assists. And Zubov had 3 assists as he gets his 2nd cup ring, right? Because he had the one in '94 with the Rangers. And Belfour, .941 save percentage for Belfour in that final. Again, the 2 goaltenders, .939 save percentage and .941. It was a goaltender's duel and really highlights just how quiet the scoring was during this era of hockey. and it would stay this way until we'd lose an entire season. It's not why we lost the entire season. We're almost to where we lost the entire season, but it certainly didn't help from an NHL perspective. They knew that the game needed to be fixed. So at any rate, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding the 1998-1999 season. Did I say 89? I think I did. 1998-1999 season. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.